Hi, everybody. Welcome to MJ Comix. I'm your host, James Mack, and tonight, or this afternoon, you're in for a treat. I have our guest today is Phil, the personality behind the One True Nerd King. Phil, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, brother. And number one, shout out to you for making it look like they're in the intro, like I know what the hell I'm doing. So, I anybody that's here, Derek, Mighty Comics and Collectibles, give this man a crisp high five in the chat because I was looking at that, I'm like, wow, maybe I do this once in a
No,
while. Yeah, that was yeah, no, it looked great, man. Thank you so
no,
much for the intro. I
no, it's
appreciate
okay.
it.
I appreciate you coming on. I've been a fan of yours for a while now, and to get you to come on, and I was quite relieved when you said yes, like pretty much straight away. It's pretty good.
You do yourself a disservice, my friend. I am honored to be here, truly, and I am thankful. It's we have a small community in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah,
And it's a very happy for us to talk ourselves, but not like always listen or be listened to and have a
yeah.
conversation. Very often, we just want everybody to know what we're thinking. And so I relish the opportunity to sit down and get to talk to somebody else about what they're thinking and get to know them as another person in the community. Because at the end of the day, that's kind of what the entire thing's about, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I started interviewing people because I kind of really wanted to get to know people within the community, and like you say, like you don't really get to have a conversation, so people are just personalities, or they don't see like the human side of
Yeah.
the content creators.
Mhm.
So that's why I really wanted to start doing this. But yeah, you kind of known really for like your high energy and humor shorts, like on Instagram, TikTok. Um,
Memes. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
how I originally found you, and I enjoy, I think I find you very funny. Um,
Oh,
and your stuff is always like current events, like anything that's happening. Really, it's good. Um, but you also have a YouTube channel. Is it Comics and Chaos? Is it?
so I have with my my better half and good friend Theo,
Yeah,
Rage Theo, as he's mostly known by to everybody else, or just Rage, or just Theo, or I just I just usually chuck things at him, socially
yeah,
speaking. That's how we get each other's attention. He'll say he'll call me a name, and I'll just look down at him admonishingly. No, it's it's a place where we hang out. Actually, we're gonna do a show tonight. We talked about it. We're just like, you know what? We've been on hiatus for like months because we've been so busy, and we're just not finding the time like we used to. But
yeah,
so yeah, I spend most of my time with Theo. I do know with my partnerships. Wow, that's a word. My partnerships.
yeah.
I'm having to crack open the One True Nerd King channel on YouTube. So I'll be putting kind of regular content out there as well as the
Okay.
things I do with Theo. But at the end of the day, those are my main place is Instagram. The place where I have my most fun is with Theo on Comics and Chaos, and kind of getting into like some of the things we're going to talk about, like one of my brand partners with Courtyard, or
Yeah.
Manly Bands, or things I'm doing with Cover Price, things of that nature. I'll have some more pointed conversations on that channel and things of that nature.
Okay, cool. And so, your uh, so before we jump into chat, I just wanted to kind of make everyone aware. I don't know if I know you posted about this earlier today, but we lost somebody in the comic community today, and I
Mm,
just wanted to give a shout out to Jim Shooter. He was very highly like regarded in the comic book community. He passed away at the age of 73. He was very crucial to Marvel in the 80s with the Secret Wars run, with the
mhm,
toy line
mhm.
and bringing that into comics, which is uh, one of the reasons why I know of him.
Mhm.
But just wanted to say rest in peace to Jim Shooter, and thank you for everything that you've done for the comic book community. Just wanted to know.
And obviously a very talented individual to come into comics at the age of 14, breaking in with
Yeah,
DC
with
as a
DC, Legion
writer.
of Superheroes and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's I mean, when I was 14, nobody wanted to read the things I was writing, let me tell you. It was always
Well,
one of those kinds of things like where no. So yeah, it's amazing, and it's a loss.
yeah,
I do feel like we're at
with
we're at that point in comic books where a lot of the people that brought them
we
about have passed
yeah,
or are passing. And so I have a terrible feeling this isn't the last of some of the people that had a great amount of influence on our childhoods and our
yeah,
lives in their own respective ways. I have a terrible feeling this won't be the last, but I am hopeful that we do have a lot of time still left with a lot of other greats in our community that are, still making it out to conventions and doing their best in their part and all the fun stuff. But Jim's a loss. Jim's a loss,
yeah.
100%.
I think it's really important that people can get out to conventions and meet these creators before the next one happens. But no, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Speaking of childhood, you told me something that I was really shocked by. Um, so you told me that you were born in Wales. Is that right?
Started off in the UK,
Yeah,
Mumbles, Swansea
Swansea.
area, obviously.
So
That's
so
that's where that's where all the rest of my family is. Unfortunately, my grandmother passed about a year and a half ago, but my parents and my sister are here in the Midwest. But my cousins, uncles, aunts, so many other people are over there. We've got a little American contingent, and everybody in Wales.
wow,
But I think it's like it's a Taylor family tradition to just wherever you are, scatter like dandelion seeds in the wind. It's just kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
we're we're everywhere, man. From New Zealand to New York to we've got friends and family in Taiwan and Scotland and Germany. It's like a
wow.
UN conclave. It's a wonderful thing. So it's very beautiful. It's very
Well,
beautiful.
well, for any of our American audience that aren't aware of what Swansea is the second biggest city in Wales after Cardiff, which is the capital. And it was at one point the leading copper smelting destination in the world.
Mm. I
So,
even stuff I didn't keep up on.
well,
Everybody
exactly.
when I grew up as a kid, and I remember telling people, like where I was going for summer break or where my family was and things of that nature. I would just be like, oh, come from a place called this is Swansea in Wales. And they're like, are there hobbits there? It sounds like something from the Lord of the Rings. Like,
Yeah,
yes, sure. And then we're going to the Shire to find the elves, and it was always one of those kinds of things.
yeah.
So but it was fun. And
Y-
yes, my father, I see Derek in the chat. My father was a carpenter by trade, and so the Tim the Toolman Taylor was a very
Real.
regular joke
Yeah,
around many circles.
that's awesome.
So yes.
So, what is the? Do you say you moved across when in your teens? Was it or
I was here by the age of 5.
5? Oh,
So
so
yeah, that's
okay.
why
So
there's nothing here. There's like nothing here.
there's no
No.
no
There's,
dialect. No. Okay.
nothing. Go home on going back on holidays and things like that. Yes, comes
Yeah.
back, comes back and forth and spending a lot of time with family. But my dad's 100% Americanized now, and he was the full generation there. Welshman. My mother was first generation American pre-English. She was the only American born in her family when her and my dad met while he was on vacation and holiday here in the States. And she followed him back. And that's where all the magic happened.
Oh,
So
lovely. And how do you find the like when you go back to Swansea? How do you find can you understand the
oh yeah. I,
accent
I
well?
mean, being a kid, especially too, anything you don't get, somebody's liable to tell you immediately. It's because it's but it's probably the reason too why I moved more out into a rural area where I did in Michigan, because it's surrounded by water. There's boardwalks all around the lake, and there's rivers, and very hilly, very tree. Is very much like is very much like Mumbles in a lot of the way where I live in Grand
Yeah.
Rapids, Michigan, right now. And it also though motivated me too to kind of be a little bit more in the more rural outskirts of it as well, because I
Yeah.
do love like walking down the village, and stopping at the different shops, and stopping at the White Rose local pub that was more of my
Okay.
family in the West Cross area. And
Nice.
it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience to get the chance to grow up that way, and see the community, that always had their frequent spots, and I could go there with my grandfather. He was a tugboat captain. And
Oh,
so
cool.
he was a big, thick, burly man that would take me out every once in a while. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I can't say that I had a very special upbringing, in every way, shape, or form. My parents came over to the United States to give us more space and have more
Yeah.
room and more opportunities. And as you're probably more aware than what people here are in the United States, but to get to like your master's in carpentry in the UK, you have to know masonry, plumbing, electrical. You have to know everything
Yeah.
about, no matter what it is. My father was a master, a cabinetry special as far as things go. But regardless, you have to know the entire job. Versus in the United States, where everybody's got their individual talent. Like that's it. That's
That's the
what you
skill.
do.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you do this. You do it really well, but that's it. So
Yeah.
a lot of people would a lot of headhunters would come over from the United States to those with different expertise granted, like, carpentry, because we build a lot of wooden homes in the United States, cuts
Yeah.
as far as things go, as you guys would call them, matchboxes. Or, you know, and so they would bring guys like my dad over to be like foremen on the sites, the guys that could know enough about everything that they could do that kind of thing. So,
Oh, that's cool. That's
yeah,
interesting. That's really nice.
yeah, yeah.
Before we start with the main questions, I'll just jump in the chat, say a quick hello to everybody's here. We've got Lawrence from Mighty Comics and Collectibles. I really appreciate it. He was literally just messaging me on Instagram, so that's why he's here. Thank you so much for joining us, buddy. We've got Derek in the house. Derek, really appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for joining us. We've got my darling wife and moderator, Gemma Mack. Really appreciate you. We've got Christina Payne in the house. Thank you so much for joining us, Christina. Phil, the personality, Derek is saying.
Yeah, even Derek's laughing at that one. He's just like, the personality. Like, come on, man. Don't even ask Manu what he thinks. Just keep him out of it too.
Christina says, remember to She-Hulk smash the thumbs up. We've got Travis from Comics with Beulah. Thank you so much for joining us, Travis. Really appreciate you, buddy. Hope you're well. Caught you live this morning. I'm glad to see that you're okay. We've got Debbie Holloway in the house. Thank you so much for joining us, Debbie. Travis saying Jim was absolutely a wealth of information and creativity. I saw that. I think Travis had interviewed him at some point as well, which is nice. We've got Comics Addict in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. Anybody else? We've got Mark from Legions of Comics. Thank you so much for joining us, Mark. Really appreciate it. Shout out to the copper smelting. Really appreciate it. We've got another moderator of mine, JSS Brooklyn. Thank you so much for joining us, buddy.
Good guy there.
He says, so regarding that, how did your family influence your desire to collect? We'll get onto that. That's collecting is a whole segment, so we'll get onto that. But appreciate you for being here, JSS Brooklyn. And let's see if there's not. We've got Manu, good friend Manu, the 9.9 newsstand. Thank you so much for joining us, buddy. Hope you're well. He did you see that he bought that Spider-Man Adventures, the Venom cover? I want to say it's issue number 7. Like, he bought the original cover art. That is smoking, absolutely smoking. Congratulations.
I try not. Manu's one of those people that is much better at this than I am. And so when I look at his feed, there is a marked amount of jealousy. So
Yes.
very often I have to kind of take him in short spurts because otherwise I end up walking away. Like I didn't even know. It wasn't until one conversation we were having when because Theo is who introduced me to him, and we were
Yeah.
getting into the entire side of like the wizard collecting, and he started breaking out all these things, and I just kind of started losing my shit. And then I discovered his Instagram feed, and I was like, I don't know if I can be friends with this man. I don't know. Because I would just walk in there and I'd just be like, nope, I didn't even know that existed. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. He's made people aware so much of like Wizard and stuff like that. I say this to him regularly that his Instagram, like when I first came across it, I was pretty much like, this is like one of the coolest Instagram accounts for comics I've ever seen because it
Yeah.
just looks so crisp and clear.
Mhm.
Like everything's presented really nice, and like the books that he was showing off were like, wow, like this guy has got something to him. So appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, but it was one of those guys, like a lot of the people we're actually looking at here in chat, they're the ones that make me look bad every time. So, it's a beautiful thing. I enjoy the fact that I have friends that are so much better at this than I am that I can ask questions of when I have those rare opportunities. But
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot of talent in our community and a lot of knowledge in it.
yeah, there
And
is definitely.
the greatest thing about it is while some are better at it than others when it comes to condoning everybody collecting what they love, there's so many different voices showing what they enjoy to collect that
Yeah,
you are able to dip your toe in to so many different areas and facets of this community because of the things that they're populating in their feeds, whether it be on Instagram or the shows they're creating, like yourself here on YouTube, and talking about your CGC collection,
yeah,
and whatever it may be. It's a beautiful way to get to live vicariously through your friends at the same time too. So I think
yeah,
that's kind of the best part about this community. It is getting to know them. It is getting to make friends and relationships, of course, but the vicariousness that you can live through them and their knowledge and their collections as well too, is a savings on my wallet. It's amazing. It's amazing how much
yeah.
how
That's
how much better it has become on my
yeah,
on my budget on a regular basis by
yeah.
having good friends that are better at this than I am. So
I, I think we would all be lying if we had said that we hadn't come across like a YouTube video, an Instagram post, or anything like that where somebody's been showing something off, and you'll be like, "Shit, that looks. I need to get that."
that
Like
looks
were not
amazing.
completely, you were completely unaware of it, and you're like, "Ah, I need to get one of them. That's pretty cool." Um,
Absolutely, absolutely, every single time, and it's kind of the most beautiful way of like I said, it's the most beautiful thing about getting to the point in your collecting where you're not always trying to keep up with somebody. I think that that's something that it doesn't happen at
yeah,
first with
yeah,
collecting. That's something that we kind of grow into. And I'm not trying to say I'm like a senior in that way, shape, or form. I am not. I am still novice in so many things, but I have at least come to grips with what is my style. It took me a while to find it when you start
yeah,
collecting because you start just seeing things that are cool and you're just grabbing everything that's cool. And then all of a sudden you come into these situations where you realize you are you become a master of nothing because you are spending all this time trying to be the jack of all trades in your collecting. So I've found that I have to be very honed and very like, this is specifically what I'm after, because when I first got started, that's what led to me having like all of a sudden 60 short boxes of
yeah,
books that, while are enjoyable in their own right, it felt like it was a little unnecessary. Like, it would be cool if it was a particular run, but it was a little bit of everything, man. Just
yeah,
there was nothing specific to it. And so probably one of the greatest things I did was um probably unloaded 99% of it just down to a short box and a half. And that was about a year ago. And now I'm back up to about 3 short boxes now. I'm not gonna
yeah,
lie. But at the same time, too, it's specific. It's exactly what I wanted. and I stick to those things. Like if I see something cool, I'll say it's freaking cool. Like that is
Yeah.
amazing. I'm not going to say it's not for me, because that's like the most passive aggressive thing to say in somebody else's
Yeah,
feed that's
exactly. Yeah.
celebrating. But it's a wonderful chance to, keep doing what I love and what I enjoy, and condoning everybody else getting out there. So it's good. So yeah.
What's interesting for me is that we've just obviously been talking about your family and your father. The
Mhm.
comparison to you, um, talking about your dad's work in becoming a carpenter and having to move across here because in this country you have to be like a jack of all trades to be at the
Mhm.
top of your game, but obviously in the US you don't. You can just focus on that single skill.
Mhm.
You've effectively done that with your comic book collection, then talking about you focusing on just
Yeah.
getting rid of everything else. It's a great comparison, to be fair.
It's and appreciate that. That's very insightful, and thank you. Yeah, my um, I it'd be it, it would be what's the word I'm looking for? There's no good word I'm looking
Remiss,
for.
remiss.
But yes, I'd be remiss to pretend that my parents don't have many different influences in my life. But
Yeah,
I can say though, my parents never my parents never really got to I can't say that there's anything they really specifically like hardcore collect.
yeah.
Like they kind of also like look at things like I'll get
Fridge
something from
magnets or something like that, like whenever they
I
went somewhere.
mean, they've got some love spoons. They got some, so, they've got their horse brasses, and my dad has some very old tools, right? As a person that does what he does, he has some, 1800s old tools as far as things go. But, they kind of look at what I'm doing, and they love it. They live vicariously through it, just like I say with everything else. They tune into things, they watch the things. It's always wonderful. But at the end of the day, that's something that they didn't really do. So this is
Yeah.
kind of new to them too. When I talk, like my mom was just like, so I was reading about CGC and grading comics.
Do you think that'd be something that you'd be interested in? It's
Right? Just like, so like, where are the
been
circumstances?
doing it. They've been doing it for 20 years, Mum.
Mm.
That's right. No, but yeah, that's a great thing. We got a super chat from JSS Brooklyn. Thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate it. Charles Rex, let's go Sandringham. Is that like a game? Football? I don't know. Or
I do not
I,
know.
I don't know the reference, JSS Brooklyn. Fill me in.
I I didn't know if it was, like, I'll be honest, nobody knew and what Wales was until, the entire Wrexham show started coming out here in the United States, and all of a sudden people are like, Wales,
Oh,
I've heard of that before.
yeah, and I bet you that's when you
Like,
came out and said, "You know
it's
what?
real.
I'm from Wales. I've got family in Wales." What I will say, and we stopped off. So one of the things with my channel is, Phil, is whenever I go away with work or if I go away with the family, I try and check out comic shops in
Oh yeah.
all over the UK.
Mhm.
And I went to get we were coming back from Wales one time, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna try Wrexham. Never been to Wrexham. Like I've only travelled through." And I'll tell you what, they glamorized that show when we went. Like that's not
Yeah.
what Ryan Reynolds told me Wrexham was going to be like. I was a bit. I
Yeah.
was. Yeah, I was taken back a bit, but yeah, it
It's
wasn't.
it's if I remember correctly, it's a very impoverished, like,
Yeah,
because I only ever went before the show, and it was basically passing through, right? It's a very industry has collapsed.
yeah,
Things have been very hard for a very long time. And it's pretty depressed in that way. But I know that can be that can be a story in a lot of places nowadays. But I do know, yeah, that's just the only way people have ever like heard of it before. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, right?
yeah.
I remember you
No,
said you're from Wales, right? Did you know that they've got a show on FX? It's just like all of a sudden, it's like, did you know? Did you
did you
know
know?
that there's somebody on television that actually admits that this is a real location?
Yeah, yeah. No,
Because
but
everybody's just like, oh, you're from England. No.
no,
Like,
no.
no offense to my English friends.
It's okay. It's all right.
No.
It's all
It's okay.
right. but yeah, so that they've done a great job of uplifting the community there and everything. So fair play to them. We Kenneth, thank you so much as well for joining us. Really appreciate that. And then we have Dave from Still Only 35 Cents. He's all the way in Australia. Really appreciate you watching us, buddy. He is also from the UK as well, but lives out in Australia.
You guys are just keeping us to all the colonies now.
And exactly, yeah. It's Spider-Man Adventures 10. Thank you, my friend. He's excited. I can't wait until he gets it in his hands. We've got Brian LCS. Thank you so much for joining us, Brian. Derek has said they should rename the idiom instead of keeping up with the Joneses, it should be keeping up with Manu. 100%.
Not entirely wrong.
Not entirely wrong.
That would actually be a great meme account, just to give him a hard time on a regular basis. Just be like,
well, what a great meme account would be. Make everything look like it's done by Manu, but with really shit books.
I can really just keep up with it. I just drop the worst, stupidest things in there. Like, yeah, oh yeah, I'll see your Spider-Man Adventures 10, and I'm gonna raise you this piece of crap.
Power Pack issue number 7. I don't know.
Oh, I wouldn't even keep it in comics. I would just go somewhere completely random. Look, I found this quarter.
JSS, please hit the like button. You know what? It's the 4th week, so give back to the UK. They don't tax RT anymore. Yes, the 4th of July is on Friday, I believe. And I believe it's your birthday Thursday, so happy birthday for Thursday as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome, buddy. The Comic Book Community Awards, the 2025 Comic Book Community Award nominations are now open until the 8th. So it's to the 2nd of August. I was reading because obviously in the UK our dates are the other way around. But yeah, the 2nd of August. Please nominate your favorite channels and creators. We also spell favorite differently as well, but that's just me. But yeah, appreciate you for jumping in. But the first question, sorry.
And color.
The first question is really simple, Phil. And to be fair, you've answered pretty much most of it. But who is the one true nerd king? Who is Phil? How did you come up with the name? What is the origin of your persona type?
My origin was I had a personal account called Nerd King, and I got into the comic book community pre-COVID, and I was working with this other gentleman on this additional Instagram site where we wanted to build it around. I wanted to build it around like doing interviews and going live from shops and helping, kind of keep local comic book shops and things
businesses
like that going. And but mostly getting to know the different sellers and the different buyers in the community. And this person, because I would run this other account. My other account was private. My other account was private. It was my personal account. I didn't share that kind of stuff. I knew a few people. There's a few people that might even be connected with me in that, and I haven't posted on it in 10 years. But at any rate, back then when this was going on, I just had that one Nerd King account. And I then decided to do this thing called Recasters. And my partner at the time was very much like, he was the face of it. I was the man behind the chair. I'd do the editing. I would put together the stuff. I would, make the schedule. I would do the arrangements. And because he was just kind of like, I'm the face because everybody trusts me because I have 3,000 followers. Right. He's just like, so you just kind of stayed doing that. It was a day that I wanted to help out with a different story. I was just like, no, man, I got this. I'm the face of this. People trust me. I'm gonna be the face of this thing, and you do what you're good at. You just you work on the tech stuff. And I took that personally.
Yeah.
As Michael Jordan would say, I took that personally. And so I created this account, the One True Nerd King, and my only goal was to get more than 3,500 followers. That was it. That was my only goal. And then just to be able to prove, hey, you know what? This is about who you are as a person and the people you want to meet and you want to grow to. And And yeah, that's all I did. I focused on different kinds of creating styles, different kinds of more of that TikTok side of the things, where you're using personality and different sound clips and things of that nature. And yeah, I took that super personally, and I got into. I really started to work on making something in the comic book community, um, with my voice, purposefully, not because I felt like I was some kind of um, savant or some kind of wise man to listen to. It was because I'm here. I enjoy these things. I like meeting people. I wanted to have conversations. I wanted to make people laugh, because it
Yeah.
was also during COVID. There was plenty of reasons to be
To lift.
depressed about stuff.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make a place where I could go, I could laugh, I could make a joke, and I could prove somebody wrong. I may have a face for radio. Okay. I get that. This
Well,
is what happens over time.
I was going to interject you, Phil, and say, how dare that guy say that like he'll be the face when you have a face like that?
I,
Like,
well, I,
I, you know,
I try. That's what my mom has been telling me for years, but
you know,
it's always one of those things.
you're
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you're a good looking guy, and like you got the hair as well, which is always works well.
Well, I have it for now. My biggest concern is if they're going to ever take me back at Fraggle Rock, because this was the entire motive the entire time. Just what little bit I got left,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna see for as long as I have it. So
Here's the thing. So like, we regularly like joke at my work and stuff about this, but like, w- if modern day now, people, if they're losing their hair, they get on a flight to Turkey and they come back with a bandage around their head. And like, is that something that you would consider?
no.
No.
No. If it goes, it goes. It's my own fault. It's who I am. I think I'm very self-conscious about a lot of things, just like we all are in our own
Yeah.
way. We all have that thing that bothers us. Um, uh, but I pretty much own what it is, because it's something that I kind of enjoy making fun of myself about. I have fun with it. It's fun for me. I'm going to hold on to every last follicle of hair I have on my head until the last minute, where it just looks. I don't want to look like I have a comb over. I'll get
Yeah.
rid
Yeah.
of it before that point in time. But it'll be who I am, and I'm going to age the way I age. It's not to say that anybody who doesn't want to doesn't have to, but I'm pretty much of the mindset though too. If you have to go get plugs, or you're going to Turkey for those kinds of things, if your hair already fell out from where it was before, it's probably going to fall out from there too.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
just eventually. So for me, it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, how long can I stave off the inevitable? You know, it's funny. I had two different brand offers recently, one of which was just for men, and I don't know
No.
if you're familiar with them, but they
Yes.
make they make beard and hair dye for
Yeah.
gray individuals, and it was
You,
just like,
do you, that's the thing. You don't know whether to be like, oh, you know what? Just for men have approached me, but what are they trying to say? Like
I
what?
know, right? I was just like, I, I mean, I'm flattered and I'm
But
insulted at the same time, right?
yeah.
It's just like all of a sudden, it's just like it was one of those, and the other one was Yahoo, right? Yahoo. So
Yeah.
like Yahoo Mail, everything else, they reach out like, "We're gonna send you a box and do this thing," and then it's an opening. I'm just like, nothing dates how old you are by your Yahoo email address either here in the States, I can say
No.
for sure. So it was between that, and it was seriously less than 2 days later, Just for Men reaches out, and I'm like, I got to stop making these old jokes on my posts, because all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, you really are old.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
talk about your hair dyes, and let's talk about your other things. So yeah, that was a no. I didn't pick those up, but it's it's safe to say it was one of those real moments where you're just like, yeah, you really are over 40, Phil. It's time to just be serious. So
It,
let's
it's
take it in stride.
too fair. I think you got to worry when is it Ask Jeeves come approaching for like a.
Oh, well, if Ask Jeeves even tries to come back, it's just gonna be one of those things
Imagine.
like
Oh, I don't know.
that
Right.
would be a real big retro kind of repo, is making some kind of
Do you
AI
know what?
chat version of Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, it might work. It could work. Google's too dominant.
From a nostalgia standpoint,
Yeah.
if you put in some kind of AI interaction animation into it where you would be asking these things and it can kind of like conversate the answers back to you, that would really work out well. I'm just
You heard
saying.
this here first. Ask G is going to be the next chat GPT, but better.
I'm just saying it would work. I would sign up. I would do it. I would do
Yep.
it.
But no,
Just
appreciate
take my
that.
data. But yeah,
We
no,
got
that's how it started. Kind of as
yeah,
a dare. It was really one of those things where for me, it was I don't I'm not a person that argues. I would just rather prove a person wrong. So
yeah,
if you're going to tell me a thing and I disagree with it, I might not be the most vocal opponent.
yeah,
I'm just going to make sure that I drive my point home as to why I'm right as soon as I have the chance. So
yeah.
I'm petty like that. I'm a very petty individual. Very
But
petty individual.
to be fair, and I flashed it up while you were talking, but you had an aim of getting over 3,500 subscribers just to beat
Yeah.
that person, but you ended up getting 182,000 followers, which is absolutely amazing. Congratulations on your success.
Honestly, that's about 181,998 more than I thought I would have just besides my mom and my dad. So
Ah,
it's very very lucky in that regard. But yeah, no, it's and thank you. It's mostly just the sense of humor and
yeah,
a lot of Star Wars too. I mean, the comic book community is fairly solid, and a lot of us have the same followers at the end of the day,
yeah,
and follow the same people. We are a small but mighty community in Instagram and on other platforms in different ways. Some live in YouTube, some live in Instagram, some live in Facebook. They've all got their happy little places. But I can say in the Instagram community, it probably really caps out, in my opinion, around at tops around that 11 to $14,000 person
yeah.
following, right?
Followers,
That's
yeah,
that's we're we're small, but we're very incestuous. We very stay very much in our little area, and so I can say though wholeheartedly that my comic book community is definitely there rooting for me, and which I love, and I can have these kinds of conversations, whether it be regarding some image comic from the 90s or some Dark Horse or Marvel or DC or something that's brand new coming out, or a variant from Capture Collectibles, or from KRS, or from Trinity Comics, these awesome people out there doing all this stuff. I can talk with them about it, or from Cover Price, but I can also jump into Star Wars if I'm having a
yeah,
day where, because I mean, in every community too, we have our disagreements. Sometimes we get very angry about something, and I'm not able to take my account to an angry space, whether
yeah,
it be people ask me like from political standpoints, people asking from, I'll make jokes about things here and there, but never from a place of like anger.
yeah.
I don't like, what was this person thinking? That's not really what my account lives and
It's
breathes in.
more,
So
it,
I can
yeah,
pivot a little bit in my community by, I'll do a Star Wars thing, I'll do a Star Trek thing, I'll do a Marvel thing, a DC. It allows me to it allows me to step into different communities when everybody's, when maybe things are going a little awry in a different place. It gives me
yeah.
the ability to kind of keep my account posting because of that.
It's like you say, it's not. It doesn't come from like a malicious place or anything like that. It's more poking fun at itself,
Yeah.
and it's and you. It's in the name, the one true nerd king. So you've got all that range of different nerddoms. Is that the
Hmm.
word? I don't know that you can
Well,
dip into.
yeah. None of us are one trick ponies, right? We all have like, we may have like the big, like, yes, from a collecting standpoint, comic books are the biggest thing in my collection.
Yeah,
However, I also collect a lot of Star Wars stuff. I'm a big Lego guy. I've got tons of Lego. I'm also into cameras. I collect cameras. There's a lot of different things to each one of us that make us who we are at the end
yeah,
of the day. And I've been lucky to be able to just celebrate as many of those as possible in one account.
Yeah.
So it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Yeah. So you kind of just delved into the next segment, which is what do you collect, and you kind of went over talked about cameras, Star Wars,
You
which is
collect.
good. It just shows how well it's working. So don't worry.
So yes, number one is my comics.
Yeah.
I do have a lot of Lego. It's more on the other side of my room. That's not facing the things in my space right now are more in the background. If you were to see my cabinets, they're full of lenses and cameras
Yeah.
and different video cameras, things like that. So by day, I'm a studio manager.
Okay.
I run in healthcare, I run a number of videography, photography studios for us to do storytelling with patients and things in our community, to film commercials, to do social media posts, to do internal communications, and we have these are full tilt, big investment locations. And so for me, um, the other motivation, really, I guess, and this is kind of secondary to why maybe I took it so seriously, not to just prove somebody wrong, but why I kept on going with it and why I kept on experimenting with things, was because I had to learn how to stream during COVID for my organization, because being in healthcare, we needed to be able to communicate with the community in a lot of
Yeah.
ways that we weren't used to doing it. We weren't used to using StreamYard, Restream, Zoom,
Yep.
Teams. That was new to a lot of hospital systems, because in the United States, we didn't start regulating healthcare until about 8 or 9 years before COVID. So over the span of that less than a decade, doctors' offices and hospitals were coming off of typewriters, jumping into computers, right? That's a gap. That's a
Yeah.
serious gap. So from a digital services standpoint of security and HIPAA regulations and all these different things, healthcare has been very behind. And me working in that space, I was a web designer. Yes, I am saying that to figure drawing. Um, but yeah, that was one of my other motivations, though, for getting in and learning so much about it, was because I needed to do this for work. That's why, like from a streaming standpoint, yeah, I'm running on a DSLR. I think this is a 23 millimeter lens, 1.2 aperture, like it's letting in the
You
right
are a
amount of
proper
light
geek,
and
aren't
automatically.
you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying, because I test this stuff to install in physicians' offices, or for
Yeah.
doing at home care, or streaming and different things like that. So cameras became a focus, and then all of a sudden it became a passion. And all of a sudden, just because I collect comics, it became a collecting bug.
Yeah.
It all of a sudden became there's a lens for that too. Oh, oh, okay. Well, I've been living in this Nikon universe for a while. I'm gonna dabble in now the Sony. Okay, I got Sony's, huh? Canon. A few people use them. Well, I'm gonna need Canons to work with my reds, so let me look at a few of those. And then I'm looking at different kinds of lenses that do different kinds of flaring. So, and it's a whole thing. Honestly, it's worse than comics. Um, it's because it doesn't hold the value the same way that comics do.
Yeah.
It's definitely has its, like, you see the hipsters going through with, like, I've got actual 35 millimeter film in this camera, this classic, and you're like thinking to yourself, as a man in his 40s, like, that was the camera I had in, seventh grade,
Yeah, yeah.
and now it's selling for how much? Because,
It's
it's vintage.
retro vintage,
um,
yeah. Like a
but
Leica or something like that, is it like a
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And Derek came in at the exact same time, like a truther. Yeah, everybody's got their things, but I'm definitely, and I try to help other creators too. That's probably where other creators become friends of mine, it's usually because I'm helping them with their setup, or I'm helping them with a streaming solution or a software point, or, trying to help a friend find a new camera or the good wireless mics to get into. That's
Yeah.
kind of in the creator space. The people that I am friends with, it's usually because of that. It's not because of my vast knowledge of comics or my cool J. Scott Campbell collection of Gen 13s. Is not because of that. It's because of my professional day job is in videography and photography, and I take that very seriously. And while I do not flex that on my Instagram page, it is something that those that do know me rely on me for. Like, hey, I'm looking at this. What do you think of that?
Yeah, of course.
Is this a good gimbal? Is this good for the price or whatever it may be? And you know, so yeah, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I
Oh,
should
well.
probably open a camera account. To all honesty,
You
I
should. You,
should.
you should. You definitely should, because you sound like you know a hell of a lot. To be fair.
It's probably the one thing I enjoy the most. Ultimately
Oh,
speaking,
well.
it's not what the content is about. It's about the process of making it. And I
Yeah.
think that that's kind of what I've fallen more in love
Yeah. Yeah.
with than anything. It's not about the subject so much as the process. And
Wow.
that's the beauty of getting to be involved in these social circles. And at the same time too, I don't like doing things just for myself. I like doing things for my friends and helping them out. That's kind
Okay.
of that's kind of my happy space. My
Yeah.
my father's a carpenter, my mother's a nurse, right? They both come from very service or like building things for people and and
Yeah.
and
Or helping
and
them.
putting things together and helping. So for me, that was kind of my youth and wanting to do that. So it's if anybody's ever got a question about a camera or there's something they want to try, or if they're looking at a new microphone or whatever it may be, I got you. Just
Hit
let
him
me
up.
know. I'm always
Yeah.
happy to help.
No, I dare ask how big your biggest lens is, because you probably pull
You
out
mean
something that
like,
can see into the another galaxy.
hold on. I'm gonna turn off my camera for a minute because nobody needs to see me turn around real quick and grab this. But 1 second.
That's right. It's just an where that's why. But
Yeah, one second,
fantastic
1 second. I'll
Thank you
show
so
you.
much for joining us. We've got we've got Terry Deadman. Thank you so much for joining us. He has hundreds of fridge magnets. Can't see the fridge anymore. Brilliant. And then we got, I think I saw, we got figure drawing. Thank you so much as well for joining us, buddy. Really appreciate it. You're a fan of the boxing great Joe Calzaghe. I asked because he's from Wales and I watched him fight as a kid. I'm not a big boxing fan, to be fair, but I have heard of him. Triple G Comics. Pete,
Sorry
thank you
about
so much for joining us, buddy. I hope you had a good show earlier. Pete said that he didn't realize that you were in healthcare. He is in the same. So he works
Oh,
for our
yeah.
NHS in this country.
Check that out. Yeah, the
So,
NHS. Yeah. So
wow.
this is just an 800 millimeter, but this is my largest as far as like zoom lens goes, right?
Wow.
But this is one of my bigger ones for distances, and I can make it twice that length.
Is
And
that
I
like
think
something that paparazzi would use when somebody's like,
yes,
yeah,
this is what you see people using at football games on the sidelines to get
yeah,
the close-ups and the shots like that, right? So
yeah.
there's that. Then there's things like, oh, my Ronin. I forget that I got my headphones on. I don't want to rip them off.
It's okay.
But so when it comes to like videography, this is the Ronin. This is one of my
Ronin.
bigger monsters.
The Destroyer.
So yeah, it's the Ronin 40S. So what it allows for is, as I am using it, it's a steady cam in
Oh,
a gimbal
wow.
system. So it will constantly track and move around. I can take the remotes off and I can pilot it from a distance, put on a car. But the cool thing is too, though, when you're walking with a steady cam, the gimbals have a little bit of movement up and down. But what this bad boy does is it has, as you can see with this additional bottom point, it will actually stay perfectly steady, because as I walk up and down, as my body's doing this,
Yeah,
it'll actually negate that. It'll stay constantly on the subject, and it allows this to park and move
that's
up
pretty
and
cool.
down
Yeah.
while this is in my hands. And usually I have a back harness that this is draping over my head and I'm
Yeah.
holding this with, because when you're recording, you're going for longer periods of time. So yeah, that's my Ronins and my Reds, and yeah, I have a lot of cameras. So that's probably the most interesting part. But as you see, you can't really see behind me because of the bokeh to my lens.
Yeah.
But those are shelves. Just I probably have about 80 different lenses overall between Sony, Canon, Nikon, and DJI. I'm getting a lot of DJI ones now.
Yeah, they seem to be the big things at the moment. That Ronin looked like it could literally take a plane out.
That Ronin's pretty impressive. The coolest things people are doing on them now are they're like putting them in RC bodies and they're driving them, right?
Oh, wow.
So you'll have a pilot, and those little handles on the side that you saw me holding it by, those pop off and they connect to a television that I can use then to pilot the focus, as well as sorry, I forgot to turn these bloody things off.
Are you using an iPhone, are you?
No, I'm using my Mac.
Yeah.
The reactions can come through your Mac the same way, so I apologize. But yeah, you know how it is. I do this, and then all of a sudden you got to turn them on. So if you turn them on, and that little thing in the background, all the stupid stuff happens. Like, here's my rainy day.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so no, that thing can be piloted then though by the directions, up, down, focus, pull, in and out, all the fun stuff. So yeah. Sorry, I was going into bokeh, Derek. I know it's
okay, but it's okay. Pete, did he feel suddenly inadequate? To be fair.
No, brother, no. It's 100%. Like, that's probably my biggest thing. My biggest thing is my cameras and what I get involved with. I've got, from robotic systems and tracks that they lay on to pilot through and zoom in and zoom out and whip around. And I'm starting to work with a video wall starting about a month from now. So you'll see my content get really weird at that point. But that's when I'm going to have a full tilt video wall, and it'll be about 30 feet wide, 10 feet tall. Wow. And then I can just kind of put things anywhere. And that's my number one passion. Comics are my hobby. My passion is my work and what I do, and that's what I work in, is photography, videography, that kind of side of things.
That's pretty cool. It's interesting just learning stuff about people, so that's good.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it. I don't get to usually tell people about that little thing. That's the one thing I might have on Manu.
Yeah.
I
don't think Manu can compete with that, if I'm being honest.
I don't think he wants to. It's totally fine too. I think he's pretty much like, I'm good, Phil. I'm good. They call it in the photography world, they call it GAS. It's called gear addiction syndrome, or GAS.
Oh, really?
And that is a true, like people like our other friends out there want to talk about FOMO and things of that nature, but in my photography videography world, it's called GAS, gear addiction syndrome. Like, it's new. Oh, let me turn in all my old stuff and get something new.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna say, it can't be very cool to be going around saying, you know what, I've got gas.
No, we don't talk about it that way. It's in a little bit more of that jocular, like, oh, it's got a gas problem. It's a very gassy one.
I'm just aware of the time, buddy. Are you okay to stay on?
If you're okay, I'm fine. I'm not doing.
Is that
anything,
okay? I know that's fine, because we're not even. We're not even indented comics, so we've not even got to it. But
my friend, I talk way too damn much, so you just might need to run me over and say, "Shh, Phil."
No. I appreciate it. It's great. But what do you kind of feel about the comic book market today? Are you a fan of, do you think there's too many variants out there? There's too many, because when we were growing up, we didn't have.
No, we didn't have that. But I was a 90s kid though too, so it was also the time where it started to become a thing, right?
Yeah.
In my mind, comic books are fine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's like in any business, you evolve or you die. Right. And I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of different people in a lot of different places. I've seen a lot of people that frequently work conventions, and they're selling golden age, silver age, bronze age, and they're, selling lots of keys, and they've got walls full of keys and things aren't moving.
Yeah.
But I have friends though too that are selling modern variants, and whether they be sports covers of Michael Jordan, or they be an indie "Something is Killing the Children" or a Frizzing cover of this or that, whatever it may be, and I see them
Like hotcakes.
selling
Yeah.
out, just going crazy. Comic books are fine because while our community is small, it is a wider net that is cast, and people take interest in different places and different times, which
Yeah.
keeps the community going. Right now, I think there's an economic situation going on, and it's the fact that if I walk into a convention and I have $200, and I can walk out with 10 variants
Yeah.
that I could maybe, if I am a flipper, I can turn into 25 or $30 books.
Yeah.
Or, if I want to keep them as far as investment goes, I'm not out a ton
Yeah.
for a single thing. But at the same time, too, when I go to a convention, and I'm specifically at these other booths, though, too, where they have their overhead and they have their big books, and you're looking at the wall stuff, I can't maybe afford those big keys. And if I do, I maybe can't afford the way that they want to sell it, or I can't justify the way that the market's been, and that single $200 taking a hit just because somebody else might not have $200, and for me to be able to get rid of it again, I might end up having to sell it for 170
Yeah.
or 160. And but meanwhile, that variant, because I bought 5 or 6 different ones and they were only $20 a piece, maybe on some of them I'll sell some of them for 30 or 40, and I'll sell the other ones maybe for 18. And that's if I'm
Yeah.
thinking flipping wise, and I'm thinking that day trader of the comic book
Yeah.
universe.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking more longer term, you know, again, I'm not going to be mad that my $20 book is now maybe worth 10, as opposed to that $200
200.
book being worth 100.
Yeah.
I think that right now there's a little bit of an inflection point in the comic book community and the world economy, and I do feel like people have an easier time spending a $20 bill than they do spending a $100 bill. And that being the case, I think that that's where we're seeing some people that are used to selling $100 bills over and over again and getting a stack of those for a cool thing on their wall. Yeah, they're hurting. They're not in a
Yeah.
great place right now. It's tough. It's tough out there. But those that are running that $20 game, they're great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I speak to some of my friends, and they don't have a care in the world because they're moving 1, 5, 10, and $20 books like it's just like it was 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I have a number of friends doing that, and they are fine. I have other friends, though, too, that are moving bigger things, and they are struggling. And I think that depending on where you collect in that side of the community, maybe you enjoy the modern variant universe, maybe you don't. I do consider moderns. I will say at one time I thought they were a problem until I kind of realized the impact that they had on the comic book economy and the way
Yeah.
that they kept modern things alive, and they kept artists being able to stay in what is a hobby to us, but what is a livelihood to them. I didn't really look at that big picture thing. Honestly, that was Tom. Tom sat me down in the middle of a live show, and Comic Tom just was like, yeah, I see where you're coming from, Phil, but that's not the case. And he educated me right there in the
Wow.
middle of a stream. And it was right there that I can say truly that I did realize that while I was I was sometimes disenfranchised by the number of things that I saw, I've also gotten to know so many artists that I realize I never would have gotten to meet if it weren't for those variants being able to keep an income stream coming into their lives and coming into their homes to make this a reality for them. So
Yeah.
for me, I get it. I get it. I see it, and I see its value in the way that it does things. I can see though where, just like any other side of this comic book community, things can get abused and things can get out of hand. But at the end of the day, they're all they're all keeping this hobby alive.
Yeah.
They're all keeping this hobby alive, whether it's different things, whether it's and it's the new ways of collecting, like Courtyard.io. You know,
Yep.
I know we wanted to kind of talk about it a little bit, and I'm not going to
Yep.
try and jump into anything,
That's
but
okay.
this is Courtyard.io is a very strong and very lucrative business, but it's gambling.
Yep.
It's gambling. It is what it is, and it's not pretending it's not. It's telling you the odds when you get to the page. And there's definitely been some pearl clutching in the community.
Yeah.
You know, and I get it, but they're the same. I see the same people clutching their pearls that are running waffles because they can't use the word raffle, and
Well,
like, hey, you want to win this AF-15? Only $100 to enter. There's 1,000 spots, you
yeah.
know, and then all of a sudden you realize there's gonna be 999 people that bought into that thing.
There's only
They're gonna
one
be
person getting a
with
book as well. It's not.
nothing.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's just the evolution of what is collecting in some ways too. Because
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the pinnacle of what is collecting. I'm saying it's another facet of collecting. Because for some people love the auctions, not just necessarily because they might get a deal or because they love the seller, whatever it is. Sometimes it's the rush of the win.
Yeah.
I beat so and so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got that thing they were after. And I
Yeah.
know that because when I started getting into comics, there would be some times where I would just come into the chat and there was somebody that got a book that I wanted. Man, I wanted that book. Man, I wanted
Uh,
that book. And then
yeah.
all of a sudden I see them going for something. And all of a sudden I'm like,
Oh, I'm gonna get you back. I'm gonna get you back.
bid, bid, bid,
To
bid,
make it
and just
higher. Yeah.
yep. Whether it's making it higher, and not like for shill bidding, but I wanted to win it. I wanted to be able to
Yeah.
say
Just to
like,
get it off them.
get it out of them too, the way they took that thing from me. And it was about the win. And I do believe that there is a similar faction and function in the Courtyard.io space.
Yeah.
And I do believe that they are successful for a reason, because there are some people that are interested in the randomness and the thrill of that. But I can say though too that unlike in waffles, raffles, giveaways, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, it's all or nothing. It is feast or famine.
Yeah.
And with those kinds of scenarios, with Courtyard.io, you're getting something. You
Yeah.
will have something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It may not be the $200 that you put into it. Maybe it's a 140 book. Maybe it's a
Yeah.
110 book. Maybe it's a $3,000 book. You
Yeah.
don't really know. But for some people that are interested in comics, but they're not, you know, into the same way, or they're looking for that different kind of thrill, that's a thing for them. And you know, to each their own.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's just a continuance of what makes for a robust economy in a hobby. And a robust economy in a hobby is what's going to keep the hobby around and alive. Because if there is no income for a hobby, for anybody to make money, for people to be doing these things, then there will be no new comics. And when
Yeah.
there's no new comics, eventually people pass away and they pass on. And so does interest, and things go away and things tank in value. To me, in my mind, these different facets to the comic book economy, whether you like to collect that way or you don't, they're all things that keep them moving.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's just me in my mind.
No, I totally agree. I mean, with Courtyard, for me, I don't know if you saw my. I opened a pack and I got an Amazing Spider-Man 300, which was worth for $30 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting $400 back, and then like I again I opened another two packs.
Mhm.
Like you know, you very quickly you feel that rush and that excitement. You don't know what you're going to get, but bear
It
in
can be a
mind,
slippery slope. You have to know
yes,
yourself. You have
yeah,
to know yourself.
yeah,
I I as a collector know I have an addictive personality. I
exactly the
do. I
same.
know that. And so I have to understand that I have limits. One a person that has influenced, that has taught me, that has done so many things, Matt DeVoe with Cover Price. He is a wealth of knowledge. He's always sharing things with me, and my other friends too, whether they be guys like Theo and others. I talk to them, but the one thing that Matt drilled into my head at the very beginning was, I saw my friends that were sellers, and I was like, I don't want to be a seller though, man. I don't want to sell. I got all these books. I don't know what to do with them, but I don't want to be a seller. I don't want to be a seller because it's crazy and it's blah blah blah. And he goes, Phil, responsible collectors move their books too, because they allow we live in a very rare space of where a hobby can pay for itself.
Yeah.
And that was the best bit of guidance in this community that anybody gave me. And that was Matt with Cover Price. We live in the benefit of having a hobby that can pay for itself. You can get the things you want. You can work on those kinds of things by trading up, or by liquidating and using that to get the next thing. And he said, the best thing that I've done, and it was out of necessity too, because I mean we're both dads and spouses, and
Yeah.
you have household responsibilities, was, this is my budget. If I want something outside of this number, that means something's got to go.
Yeah.
Something's got to make room for that monetary amount for me to get that thing. And that keeps me in perspective. And that's why, even with Courtyard, like, okay, if I want to take a gamble, if I want to take a spin, and it is,
Yeah.
and I know that I can be very addicted to it, but you did it the right way. You wanted to do two more. Well, I sold the one book and I got two, and whatever it was,
Yeah.
you still enjoyed it. But at the end of the day, the good news is that you're still operating with what you can do.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I always, everybody makes a joke, geek responsibly. It's true. You should be cognizant of who you are. That's just my world.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, so in that video that I did with that for the Courtyard, I unpacked another two comic packs, and then I did some Pokemon packs just to test them out. Now
Mhm.
that the Pokemon ones, because they're only like $25 to $50, they could be. The issue is stuff that is like you could think, well, it's only $25, and then like you could go, 10 packs that you think, I've just. But I ended up actually cashing out with $400, so I was $200 up. So I was really,
Hell
I couldn't.
yeah.
I'm like not like almost like a success story. But do you think if they introduced, well, do you think that they will introduce higher comic packs at some point, or do you think
Yes.
they'll, yeah,
And lesser. Yes.
and lesser, yeah,
So I've had the benefit of obviously being in the relationship that I've been in, having the opportunity to speak with different people. I mean, they've made over $1 million in a week.
yeah? I was going to ask you that. How
A
how have
million
they done?
dollars in a week, guys.
That's incredible.
That's now that's from some of their existing community and people from the comic book community taking interest and hopping into,
Yeah,
myself, you, others. And that's lovely. 100%. They've bought hundreds more books to put into the coffers to keep people with the ability to still win big things of that nature. But it's at the same time too, for their goal was to test the waters,
yeah,
see if there was interest, see if comics were a place that people would want to gravitate to and towards, and being a part of that. Because I asked too, that was one of my first questions, like, hey, $200, that's a price point for some people.
yeah,
That's a bit out of reach for some
yep,
people, and they do have intentions of releasing lesser and higher price points, just like you saw with Pokemon. You saw it with Pokemon. They had $10, 20, 30, 50, 100,
yep.
$200,000.
1,000, yeah, yep,
They have those things. They have it with football cards, baseball, basketball. They've got it with everything for a reason. But they're operating correctly, like any business should. They're going
Yeah.
in, they're testing the market, and that is going in with a middle tier price point to see what exists. What are the barriers? And if the barrier is a buying point, they'll release lower ones. If the
Yeah.
barrier doesn't seem like a buy-in problem point, then they'll probably release higher ones, right? So in my mind, they have a lot of people that are probably from their existing environment. They're getting some new interest, but they got a lot of existing people. So they
Yeah.
might be thinking, well, maybe this price point is an issue. Maybe we should open up some of those lower tiers. I have a feeling. I do not know. I'm not a part of their plans.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
part of their, hey, what are you doing this week, Phil? We'd like to see some posts. And that's kind
Yeah.
of my real their amount of sharing is still their business privy, and I'm not an employee. I'm a subcontractor, right?
Yeah.
And my contract is my community for at least a little while. This isn't a long-term thing, not as of right now, anyways.
Yeah.
They brought me on for a few months to see how it goes and see what the community is interested in checking things out. Um, I do believe that if they introduce lower price points, they'll see a
New
lot more
users.
movement.
Yeah.
I do believe so. And I do believe the comic book community would be very interested in that because, like I said earlier, when you walk in with $200 to a convention, what's the what would you rather walk out with 10 things or one thing?
Yeah. Yeah. I think.
It's just kind of one of those things. And I feel like it would do better. I don't think they'll ever dabble in raw. Some people have asked me about that. Everything they deal in is graded. It is
Yeah.
graded.
You've got a
And
definitive price then with the grade, haven't you? Whereas in like if it's raw, it's a bit difficult.
yeah, it really is. It is really difficult with raw. Like, was it damaged in process? Is that really what it looks like when it was at the warehouse with the whatever?
Yeah.
We've everybody's got a conspiracy theory, and
Yeah.
there's always a conspiracy theory with any person you work with or dance partner.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a function to sell the book you won on their marketplace to them or to others. You can trade with others. You can sell it on their marketplace to
Yeah.
wherever you want for no selling fee. There's no
Yeah.
seller's fee.
Well, I was going to say, I think what one of the interesting things is obviously if they were to release uh, uh, the cost of the packs were cheaper.
Mhm,
Like you can have like an online collection, and then you
mhm,
can trade easily with others,
mhm,
or sell on the marketplace.
mhm,
Um, to also buy other books on the marketplace, which
mhm.
are actually, when you look at them, some of them are actually pretty reasonably priced. If you wanted to just get a collection of slabs or whatever, you can pick them up for pretty good prices, especially the Pokemon cards. Like when I was
Yeah,
looking, you could buy a graded card for like $10 or something. You're like, wow, like you
yeah,
can just add that to your collection instantly.
and they're very accurate with their market pricing too, and I say that because a lot of people in our community love to price by whatever was the best sale that was recently on eBay,
Yeah,
you know? But to me, that's not fair market value. That's just somebody really wanted to overspend,
yeah, yeah,
and so in my mind, um, I do, I don't know if it's cover price, if it's go collect, if it's who it is
GPO.
that they're getting
Yeah,
their money, that they're getting their values from, but they are accurate.
yeah,
I've been pleased by that more so than anything because when we do those buy-ins, you won that $400 comic, for
yeah,
example, right? They will offer you 90% of its value as a buyback to put that book back into circulation,
yeah,
right? So if it was a $400 offer they made to you, it was probably worth $440. You
yeah,
know that because it's going to be 90% value, whatever it may be.
yeah,
Um, and so there's an immediate way to get out of this and still come out with cash in your pocket if you want to with any of these buys that you make on Courtyard, which I found pleasant. It was different to the traditional raffle of things like
yeah,
maybe you'll get something maybe next time, you're going to
yeah,
walk away with something. And very often most of them are either something that is of interest, but it's in a very high grade, which is nice.
yeah,
So you're getting something that's in a high grade, or maybe it's something that's super interesting that everybody's after, and but it's in a tier that's reachable and attainable. I liked the selection. I would like to see more moderns and more modern books in there in some
Yeah.
aspects, because I am that kind of a guy. I do like the modern comic
Yeah.
experience and the different kinds of artists that you can run into with that. But from a sourcing standpoint, that's for them to sort out. But
Yeah.
I do feel like the lower tier is the best. Where they're sourcing their comics from, I don't know, Derek. I speculate, but I don't know.
I think
I Mm. I'd at the cost of being wrong, I'd rather not say. But I
I think
think I know.
yeah.
I think I know.
I think they obviously are getting them from somewhere, but they are they. I wonder if they are buying raw books to send into
No,
CGC to no,
no, they're
no,
buying straight.
straight.
Everything's slabbed.
Okay.
Everything's I know that for sure. And I know that in that sourcing process for sure. I know who the person is that goes out and seeks their books, and that makes me believe I know then who they're coming from. But that's not the person that is like choosing the kinds of things that are going in there. He is not a source. he is
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
he is not one of those guys that has this kind of inventory that he can just be like, here you go, guys. Here's all the
Yeah.
chips. That is, in
I
my
th
mind,
I
a
think I know who you're
network.
talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what made you? Because you mentioned earlier about obviously sorry, not Just for Men.
Mhm,
Um, that they got in touch with, like,
mhm.
to promote their brand. And what stood out for Courtyard for you? Is it because you see it being like maybe like the
Courtyard's
future? Or
comics. At
yeah,
least it's something that's really in my
comics.
niche.
Yeah,
For there's certain things we all anybody that's got more than 1,000 followers has had that. Hi, we're with brand so and so, and we specialize in goth jewelry. And we think you would look awesome in an X, Y, and Z. Or, um,
oh yeah, the
and you
typical
see it
ones.
on the
Yeah,
blanket, insert name here. I actually get one that says, "Hey, one true nerd king," and it says right next to it, "Insert name here." I'm like, good God. But at any rate, um, things like Just for Men, that's a lifestyle. Nobody's signing on to me for a
yeah,
lifestyle consultancy. Nobody's saying, boy, that Phil guy, he's got it together. I want to know what he's using in his hair product. You know, nobody's coming to my feed for that. But they are coming to me for comic books and Pokemon and Lego, other collectibles. And this is
yeah,
collectibles. So in my mind, if it were a t-shirt company that was specializing in DC and Marvel t-shirts, yes. If it's I do have something coming up with Manly Bands, and they make different rings for DC Comics. You can get your Green Lantern rings, your Superman rings. You can get the one ring from The Hobbit. They've got really beautiful wedding bands and things of that nature.
yeah,
Um, and just regular run-of-the-mill rings that come in lots of different nerddoms. That speaks to me. That makes sense to my audience. Just for Men and Yahoo, no, that doesn't make sense for my audience. Sure, my audience may skew a certain age, but nobody's going to come to my page because they're looking for a 40-year-old balding man with gray hair. That's it's not like that's not what gets people to come to my page. What gets them to come
yeah,
to my page is my nerdy conversations around Star Wars, Star Trek, Marvel, DC. Why is Superman doing this versus that? They come here for that.
yeah,
And so that's why I choose the brands I work with. It has to speak to my audience, and I can't do more than one at a time. So like if I do something, I have to really balance it out. My
yeah,
audience is very meme orientated, comedy orientated, right?
yeah,
They don't necessarily like me selling things to them on the regular. They like the fact I'm not usually. So I have to find something that I can do every few days. Courtyard
yeah,
is a wonderful partner that only wants to do something 2 to 3 times a week, and that's it. And that's cool. And that's great for them.
yeah,
And that's good for my audience. My audience is okay with that.
yeah,
And that's kind of the space that from a creator standpoint, you really have to know your audience and what it is they can and they can't handle or enjoy. And then to do that, you got to experiment a bit. You've got to try and test those waters. And once you hit that 150 to two, that once you hit about 150,000 followers, Instagram assigns you a person and they give you a rep, right?
Oh, okay.
And you can have the conversations with those reps every so often. They look at your account, they look at the way you're skewing, and they give you advice on these kinds of things, because it's Instagram's desire to have successful creators on their page, because that's what keeps people coming back.
Yeah, to pay for
Using
the
the app.
advert. Yep.
So I have a rep, and he talks to me, or whoever's working me through that week. I'm not like so cool or have a dedicated one, but I have somebody that gets stuck with the low end of the totem pole. Paper, rock, scissors loses. I gotta call that Phil guy. And they
I gotta
talk to me
speak to
about my
that
account.
nerd.
Yeah, I get the nerd. I remember when they were launching Threads, man, I got pulled into a conversation where we were in a Zoom call with like 200 other people, and LeBron James was in there on his phone
Wow.
talking, and there was so many other cool creators, and it was like one of the coolest moments of my life. But at
I
any rate,
bet.
but they assign you a person, and they talk to you about your stats and what's working, and what kinds of content you need to use here, and if you were looking for a partner, what kinds of partners would speak to your audience. And so, also from a creator standpoint, guys, if you ever have a question, I would love to share. I mean, obviously I can't make Instagram call a person, but I'm always happy to share the things I learn and the things I know,
Yeah.
because a rising tide rises all ships, in
Yeah.
my opinion, and that's the way I kind of like to try and operate. So yeah, it's you just mentioned eat time to order. Yeah. Yeah, it's 100% just about knowing your audience and what it is that they can be of interest in. And courtyard.io, I think, is of interest to our community. I think it is an evolution point. I think it's a different side of the collecting hobby. And I do think it's one that they don't ask for my advice, but if I could give them one, I do believe smaller price points would take away the barrier of exploration right now, because I
Yeah.
do feel like it's an investment. That amount of money is an investment, to some more than others, but at the end of the day, it's one that people would be more willing to try with 20, 50, $100 price points, perhaps, and they would still have even more success, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you can answer this question, but do you know if, I don't know, you have a book that you keep on Courtyard that you're not selling, you're not putting up for sale, you're keeping it in your collection on Courtyard?
Mhm.
Knowing the comic book market influxes, and
Mhm.
if that book goes up in value, what happen? Would you just put it on the marketplace to sell there? You wouldn't. Actually, I think after 7 days, you don't get an offer of the 90%, do you?
You don't get the 90% offer anymore.
Yeah.
No, that goes away. And then other people can start making offers to you, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're kind of like, what the heck
Oh,
is it?
they're
Like, this is obviously a
$6 as well,
Pokemon
don't
collector. He just offered me $13 for the first
they? Yeah.
Court of Owls. He doesn't know
Yeah.
what he's talking about.
Yeah.
There's definitely those on there, 100%. But what I liked about Courtyard was not just my audience, but also the different ways that you had. Number one, you could keep it there, and it was safe and it was insured. It's in the warehouse in Delaware. They have insurance, it's surveilled. It's in a safe place,
Yeah.
and I have a nice digital way of enjoying it. Now, these are all slabbed. At the end of the day, I'm going to be honest. I prefer raw comic book collecting. Why?
Yeah.
Because I can touch them. However, the slabs I have, and I've only got about 7. It's
7.
exactly 7. I have 7 slabs, and they sit in my closet. I don't display them specially, and I could, but I don't. But I love to be able to run my hands through a comic book. I love to touch it. I'm 100% tactile, and I love touching my comic books. So for me, having a slab that I can virtually pull up and know that it's in a safe place and it's insured, if something happened to it, go get money for it. And at
Yep.
the same time, too, I can look at it whenever I want to. That's no different to me than it just sitting in my closet doing nothing. Right. I can see
Yeah.
that. And they do a great 360. I kind of like it. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
gonna lie. I
Yeah.
kind of like
It
it
looks
more.
great. Yep.
But that's one way of doing it. 2, you can have it sent to your home. I'm going to have 2 of my books. I've gotten 4 pulled. I'm going to have 2 of my books sent to my home. Um, You can trade it with other people. Like I'm going to be
Yeah.
transferring one of those books to a person that won one of my raffle giveaways for it, right? No buy-in. It was just you just participate,
Yeah.
and he won it. And all he has to do is now go to courtyard.io, open up an account. I'm going to transfer that book to their name. You can sell on courtyard.io for no seller's fee.
Yeah.
This as a platform, I have options. It's not a one-trick pony. That's something I do enjoy. And if I did sell it for something on there, I could take that cash out, or I could take it and buy more things with it. I can kind of do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately the most interesting thing about this service is the different ways that I can receive personal satisfaction. If I didn't like the book, I can sell it back to them for 90%. I can trade it to somebody else. I can sell it to somebody else for no fee.
Yeah.
Maybe make more than that 90% that Courtyard was going to give back to me on it.
Yeah.
Entirely possible. I can keep it and have it sent to me, or I can have them keep it there into perpetuity. It's a nice, safe place. I can actually send them my slabs, and they will add that to that virtual assortment.
Collection.
Yeah. If I want to have my slabs there, I've only got 6 or 7, but I wanted to keep them there. It's a nice insured place. I had some nice ones. Want to send it to them? I can do that.
So if you submitted them, because somebody asked this question in the chat about submitting to them or something like that, can you have?
You can't like submit raw.
No, but I mean, can you? So you said that you could submit your slabs to Courtyard and it will go into the vault, etc.
Yep.
Does that mean they're available for you to sell on the marketplace?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
But obviously, because you haven't unpacked that through their comic packs, there's no
90% buyback.
But that is very interesting that you could put them on that marketplace. I mean, I don't know how well the marketplace does with people buying it themselves.
That's something I'm still exploring. That's a side of it I haven't really gotten to get into it. Because I mean, what are we at now? 2.5 weeks of age, since launch. A week and a half or 2.5 weeks. I can't remember which. It's been a weird couple of weeks for Phil. But at the end of the day, yes, you can send in your slabs. They can get put up in the exact same displaying way in your collection on your page. And you can put them in for trade. You can put them up for sale. You can do whatever you want. And I think that's ultimately a goal in this too, is to not just be a place of you gamble and you get in and you get out, you get in and you get out, to make it a marketplace where you can put things in, you can do things with them there, or you can not. It's up to you. For me, in my mind, I'm very tempted about sending something in there to get it put into the process just to see what that's like. I mean, I don't know if I would get what I wanted for it, but that's why I'm also kind of interested in putting something out there. Doesn't have a ton of value to it. Might be worth $100 or $200 and just see what it's like to sell something on there, how that kind of goes, because it also uses blockchain to track then, like, oh, this was submitted by Phil Taylor. It started off with Phil Taylor, and then it went to, went to James Mack, and then it went to, Manu, and then it went to, you can kind of see that history then built into the comic. And that was something that I loved about working with Fantast back in the day, was the story of where it's been. Because comics are stories that we enjoy and we get the opportunity to listen to and be a part of, but those stories become a part of our lives too. And I think it's interesting to see where a book has traveled, to see the different kinds of lives that it may have impacted. Now, granted, we can't open these ones up the same way to like share the story, but there's a reason why you wanted that book. There's a reason behind it, and it had some kind of impact. And I think that that's cool. So I kind of like them. It's like a family tree for your slabs to see like where it was and who went through it. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's cool. No, that's good. And thank you so much for speaking about Courtyard. We appreciate it for anybody who's.
Hopefully, they're not going to get mad at me for whatever I said. I hope I didn't say anything wrong.
I don't think you said anything. I don't think you said anything wrong.
Definitely nothing groundbreaking. I'll tell you that much.
No, but we've got a couple of people in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. The amazing Spider Zach. Thank you so much for joining us, Zach. And we also have Mutant Academy Gaming. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us as well. Appreciate it. But in terms of content creation, then Phil, I hope you don't mind me asking. Do you consider yourself an influencer? I know we spoke earlier about people showing off stuff and like if somebody with 5 followers on Instagram or on YouTube, they could show off a book and somebody buys it just from watching that small segment or whatever. Do you consider yourself because you have a more reach than most people? Do you consider yourself an influencer?
Yes and no, and it's because influencer is a loaded word to a person that understand that sees it as, like I'm some kind of
Oh, I'm not saying it
lifestyle
yeah,
influencer of
yeah,
sorts. A lot of people take flack from those kinds of people. I'm 100% not a lifestyle influencer. I'm not.
yeah,
I'm going to talk to you about something. It's talking about something that I'm just knowledgeable in as far as a niche or hobby goes. And in
yeah,
that aspect, yes, 100%. I do consider myself an influencer, and I consider myself a marketplace. Right. I am by marketplace, I mean a network of people that enjoy like-minded things like as myself. And if you're going to see me talk about anything on those channels, it's going to be about things that are like-minded to those persons as well.
yeah,
And to be a part of that, because I have worked on that for the last 7, 8 years, I do consider it, hey, brother, I do consider it something that if a person wants to advertise with Instagram right now and you want to get 3 or 5,000 people to look at it, you're going to
yeah,
pay 400, $500, whatever it may be.
yeah,
Right. Um, or you can give Phil $20. I'll put it in the stories. It'll have 10,000, 30,000, 40,000 people,
yeah,
and businesses know that. They aren't when somebody's looking at you as a niche influencer, they really don't care about Phil Taylor as Phil Taylor, right?
yeah,
They care about the people that enjoy Phil's sense of humor, that enjoy Phil's niches and hobbies, and they know for them to get to that kind of audience, they would probably pay 10 to 20 times that to Instagram to figure it out and get
yeah,
it to such a blanket amount of people that it would saturate a tenth of Phil's following.
yeah,
And they know that they would not get as much bang for their buck. And because of that, they look for people like me and others out there. I do believe that I carry value in viewership and ability to get name and brand recognition. I never guarantee a sale. I will never guarantee a sale to anybody. I had one person I worked with once is like, I need 100 new buyers in for every show. And I'm like, but no, I'm not your guy. I can't
yeah,
guarantee a sale. That's not what my page is based around. If you want to talk to somebody that knows how to work a sale and can find a verified buyer, yeah, I've got a friend for that. Let me point you his direction. But for myself, I'm going to get you brand recognition. I'm going to get you conversation. I'm going to get people out there seeing you, learning about you, knowing about you, going to your site. They will go and investigate. I can't guarantee a
yeah,
sale.
exactly.
So
That
I'm guaranteeing views.
views, yeah. I mean, that's predominantly like your role in all of this. That's great.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you how do you kind of like plan then your content? Do you just is it like off the bat, like in terms of you wake up one morning and you see that you know Jim Shooter's passed away today? You want to do
Yeah.
like a memorial type post, or you something big's happened in the industry for entertainment as a star signing has been cast in a movie, or is it just basically that, or do you plan out what you're going to do each week?
If I have a client, I'm planning the client's content
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Everything else is kind of fly by the seat of my pants. Um, Theo knows more than anybody because he listens to me bitch and moan. But I've like in a bit of creative block like crazy for the last probably 3 months. I have
yeah,
been in a massive creative block. I don't know what I want to do each day. Like it's really weird. Like I've been in this uber weird headspace about the content that I want to do and where I'm working towards. And I've also for the first time in a while, I've kind of stalled at my number because I'm focusing more on putting my face behind the joke that I want to tell, where I would normally put it in just a meme. And I do that because of copyright infringement
Oh yeah.
and keeping my account in good standing, for one. That's tantamount. I don't want to be a banned person because they used somebody else's content in some way that they didn't like. I always ask permission. I ask where it came from, or I do like a Google search to see where it was sourced from. I try to do that whenever possible. There's some things I can never find, and I'm just like, who made this? And I'll put that out there, and that gets all kinds of traffic. But you know, I won't pretend like I have a plan for my regular humor content, because that's kind of something that just hits me in the moment. And
Yeah.
that's honestly where I've been struggling lately. It's been a struggle for me to find content in that way.
Do
That's
you
uh
do you
that's where I
kind
got
of
to work.
like do you kind of like rely on like, these trends on TikTok and stuff? What, if a video goes viral on TikTok where you can relate it to like our world,
Yes.
like
Yep.
like that's what I always find interesting.
I've done a lot of those. That's how I started my account. That's where I kind
Yeah.
of went from like 3,000 to 13 to 14,000, was over doing those kind of TikTok trend
Yeah.
voice sound, reenacting and kind of
Yeah.
adding drama to and things of that nature. That's where it really kind of started to move for me. So yeah, I still do those once in a blue moon. I usually now have been, like I said, I've been in this creative block. I've been kind of lazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
Like I'm just like, I'm finding a hard time trying to find different kinds of content. And I think honestly, it's because I'm really waiting for things like Superman and some of these other movies that are coming out this July. My
you're
headspace
gonna be
is
so busy. It's
well,
gonna
my
be
headspace is kind of right now trying to stay offline at different times, because I don't
yeah.
want so many spoilers, especially in our community. Our community
Oh,
loves to spoil shit for everyone, not just because it's somebody else is going to do it anyways. Why not? Is it me? But because at the end of the day, it's got everything to do with speculation, and maybe this book's going to go explode, or look at, I bet well, because I bought 20 copies of this and I knew people were going to love Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner. And
doggone yeah.
it's one of those kinds of things where they just want to make content and they push it out. So I'm also like people will ask me like, well, what'd you think of ABC and the preview that you just saw the other day? I didn't watch it. Well, what do you mean you didn't watch it? You're in content creation. Like, I want to go to a movie and enjoy it again. It feels
Yeah,
like that. It feels like it feels like that's a hot take right now in
yeah.
in
I
social
I
media. Like,
I
what
I
happens when you're
really
enjoying a movie?
I'm really not a fan of like I'm looking forward to watching Superman, but I'm
Mhm,
really not a fan of seeing six different trailers or like featurettes. And I don't mind the initial release, like to get you excited
mhm.
and maybe like a teaser, but there's just so much now and it's everywhere and it's like releasing new little tidbits on it and you're just like I kind of like Captain America Brave New World.
Mhm,
I saw you saw so many trailers and stuff like that. I saw that film in the trailers. I watched the film and I
mhm.
could tell you something now. There was nothing. It felt like there was nothing new in the film.
Yeah,
Like there
I could
was
see
no
that.
story really. The story was the
Yeah,
trailer.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's how I'm kind of fed up with it, to be honest. But I don't mind. I know I have friends who basically like I don't want to see a trailer at all because I don't want to ruin the experience. And like you can't even talk about what's happening in the trailer to it. Like
Yeah, I
like
do have some very purist friends like that
yeah,
too. I
and
I
they're
will say.
like you're like, "Bro, man, you've got to see this trailer."
You gotta see something, man. You just need to see this one thing. And no, I do. I live and die around that first trailer. Something that I have liked, and I know that they're still releasing new versions of it, but I have liked the Superman side of things where they're working with other content creators to create content as their marketing kinds of things, with their
Yes,
actors doing recreations and involvements of like TikTok trends and things of that nature, and seeing David Cornsweet on like 80 different creators pages because he's doing a different thing skit wise with every
like a
single
meme,
one of them.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
because of that, they're building characters that it's character building for a movie that now I want to see. I feel like I'm getting to know these different actors and actresses a little bit better, and I don't feel like they're giving away something from the movie, which I
yeah,
really love. I
yeah,
I'm
that's
I
good.
hope Marvel and others take a page out of that, because I'm really sick to death of the nitpicker person that just goes through, now look, you see this weird shadow there? I'm pretty sure that's Doc Ock, everybody. He's going to be here and he's going to be in the movie. And I'm just like, oh, I didn't want to know that, because then 20 other people are posting about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm interested to see if that kind of trend can continue, to use content creators as avenues into more inexpensive marketing, because it is more expensive to go with an influencer than it is to go with traditional marketing on any of these platforms, bar none, 100%.
Yeah.
But to see the different creative ways of getting to work with them, it also gives me interest in that actor or actress, because I feel like I'm getting to see them in a different way, in a different light, with a different sense of humor, with people that maybe I know and have met, which is really cool too. Getting to know and meet these people at these conventions. I remember running into like 5 or 6 different other creators just walking by, and they'd be like, Phil? And I'd be like, Jinx? Like, holy shit, like real life, like didn't even know each other were here, let alone at C2E2. It's neat.
Yeah.
It's neat.
Well, you got to think as well, how many of these influencers, if they got approached by, Warner Brothers marketing or James Gunn to say, could we do this little skit with your thing? Like, a lot of people would be like, yeah, sure. Like people might not even ask what they're being paid, because they can get it via monetization on YouTube or Instagram. Like, the views alone will generate what they like. It's a win-win really for both.
Or even just in trade. That's the clout, the trade, any of those things. Those are super helpful. And there's a question here from the Amazing Spider Zach. I just want to say, because I do have an opinion on it. If the new DCU fails, and is this the last time for DC? I mean, it'll never be the last time for DC, but I have to say, I don't think Superman's going to fail. I really don't. And I
think
it's
going to be fun. Yeah.
I think it's going to be the biggest film of the year, because this could be family involvement. And unlike the Fantastic Four or anything in the Marvel space right now, you have to do homework. You have to know decades of information to walk into a Marvel. The worst thing Marvel did was continue their connected network beyond Endgame. And I say that because everything is like, I have family that used to love going to Marvel movies with me. When there was a couple after, they needed a little while to get over Endgame, and they skipped a couple movies. And now they just don't want to go, because now they got to watch 15 Disney Plus shows, watch 23 other different movies.
I think,
and some a-hole decided that now we have to make, this old TV show and these 3 old cartoons now a part of canon as well. And they're going to reference it in this next movie. And all of a sudden, I feel like I need to, I'm writing my master's thesis for university for going to see a Marvel movie every single time, or I've got to give them an abridged version to coach them through before we walk into the movie while we're getting popcorn. Or I have to deal with the fact I'm going to listen to them. Who's that? I don't understand what's going on. What's that weird thing in the background? And that's the reason why to me, Marvel is going to continue to go downhill until they reboot.
Well, I think I think it's very interesting what you said about the whole, as soon as like Disney Plus started doing TV series, that is 100% the downfall. Because you take a look at WandaVision. I really enjoyed WandaVision, like the mystery of it. I was hoping that Mephisto was going to be in it and all that stuff. So, but the character arc that the Scarlet Witch went through in it was just the Doctor Strange, the Madness. I forgot the title of the movie.
Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness. That's it. Yeah. She gets put into that, and that character arc is just wiped. Like, that's the story meant nothing. WandaVision meant nothing because she was just a bad guy. Like, nah, it's not working out. And like this Ironheart series, I've not watched it. I've heard that it's not supposed to be as bad as people think it is, but it's just something that I would. If they're going to do a TV, just make it into a TV movie. Like, just put it as an hour and a half, or 2 hours. Just make it into a movie.
And what was that? Werewolf by Night. Remember that?
Yeah,
that
feature was great.
Presentation.
That was great. Like an hour special. Like, instead of doing like 35-minute episodes, like a 35-minute episode to me is like The Office, where you just a quick watch while you, like, I'm eating some food or something like that. Like, it's just, but not. They need to change the way they're doing things if they want to continue. But
I agree. You're 100% right. I do believe that there was a lot of Disney Plus shows that should have been movies, and
Yeah,
there was a lot of movies that should have been maybe a show or a short. You know, there was a lot of things that we just kind of crossed wires on, and I think Marvel got a little greedy. I think Disney got greedy, and they got Marvel pushing things out that they just couldn't. They couldn't keep quality control up on.
yeah,
Eventually, you hit a mass production level, quality control goes down. You may have a fantastic Etsy page. You become successful. You have to start industrializing things out. You're pumping out a lot of stuff. Guess what? It's not
it's not the
handmade
same.
now,
It's
pal.
not the same
It's not.
quality.
It's not the same quality. So I do feel like that actually happened 100% with Marvel, but I think it's also it's also that we could have made some self-containment in, like, they don't have to always live in this universe where they're always affecting each other.
Yeah,
And I do believe that's why James Gunn's going to have a much better time getting people in to see his movies for the next 3 to 5 years than Marvel is getting even people to get to go see Doomsday. Even coming
yeah,
back to RDJ, it's going to get us in there. It's going to get those comic book heads. It's going to get those guys in there. But the rest of them that have missed, what the frick? I thought there was some Kang dude working. Oh, that guy got fired. Oh, maybe he's back. I don't know what the hell's going
uh,
on with that. And it's all this other stuff that is going to continue to doom that MCU, in my
yeah,
opinion. No matter what you make, is going to is either going to be, well, they just made it because it's woke, or it's not as good as the other ones. But and people stop giving it a chance, then they miss something because of it, and
yeah,
because they know they missed something. Oh crap! Do I have time to watch it? I don't have time to watch it. I guess I'm just not going to go to the theater. I'll just wait until it comes out on digital, and maybe I'll pick it up then.
yeah,
I see that because I hear it from the
yeah,
casuals that make Marvel movies successful. It's not the comic book people. We see our community. We know we're 10 to 15,000 people in these different social media places.
yeah,
We aren't going to keep Marvel afloat, no matter what anybody says. Make it for the fans. Mm. This has to be able to hit a general audience, and
yeah.
general audiences don't want to do homework right now.
No, I bet no,
So
no, not as a serious homework at the
no,
Marvel.
not as crazy. It's a bit like we're coming up on 2 decades of homework, man. You want to
I know.
know why some people are crazy about Robert Downey Jr. being Doctor Doom? It's not just because he's a good actor, because he was Iron Man for over a decade.
Exactly.
It's this is and this is what general audiences have now, what they thought was cool at first, has it was just they tripled down on it, and now it's a turnoff.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree. I agree.
it was my sense of humor got me a wife, and then all of a sudden she was married to me, and all of a sudden I became annoying. It's
Yeah,
that
exactly.
one thing where it's you have it for long enough. Ugh.
Now you're looking at divorce, but yeah,
I
um,
know, right?
yeah. So in terms of like your most successful video, you've had like a millions of views on some on Instagram. Is
Yeah,
that
I mean, I've got some with like 35 million,
wow?
40 million. Yeah, I think my
Just a casual 35, 40 million. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
I
Would
do I do I generate roughly 80 million views a month on my
wow,
page.
that's
Just
incredible.
But that's the reason why people like Courtyard or whoever, they're looking for views. Again, they're not looking for sales. They want to get market saturation. They want to get name
Yes.
recognition. They want to get hits and things and people that go to a page and then they see some Phil guy talking about their product. But yes, my page regularly generates 80 million,
That's
80 million views a
that.
month.
I mean, that is amazing. Honestly,
Thank you.
that's incredible. Congratulations on that. So, in terms of then why, what made you think that maybe those particular reels or shorts became hits?
Will become hits.
Yeah.
Every single one was an accident, dude.
Oh,
Um,
really?
I would love to say there's a calculation. I would love, because if there was, I wouldn't be having the block that I've been having for the last 3 months. And I'll still have, once a week, I'll get one that gets like, a million, 2 million, things like that. But I've got just bangers. That's still the one thing that's nice about Instagram, is that one person liking something will restart the cycle all over again.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, um, I've got some that are like 3 or 4 years old that I'll see a like every 8 minutes on, or a comment or a share or something like that.
Yeah.
Instagram's kind of ridiculous for that, and it's great. It's great. It keeps you relevant. It keeps your name up there, and it keeps, once they see something of yours that they like, if they watch all the way through, they're going to see something else in the next 15 to 20 minutes or the next day or two,
Wow.
and that's what kind of keeps that relevancy there. I would love to say there's a calculation, because I would have given it to my friends, and I would have had this down to a science, but I can say, um, do things that make you laugh, choose things that you find funny, because at the end of the day, if you had fun doing it, it wasn't a waste of time. That's my
Yeah.
only piece of advice in this.
That's great advice.
Otherwise you're going to hate it real fast. Because everything I thought that would do well, like, oh, this is so perfect, this is so timely, bum bum ba-dum,
Yeah.
just insert wah wah here. It maybe it'll get like 30,000 views or something like that, or maybe even 15 to 20,000 views, and then that one thing, I'm just like, I need to throw out a filler. I just got to toss something out there just to break up my algorithm and make it weird for the day. I throw it out there, 8 million views in 24 hours.
Wow.
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
And sometimes it helps if one of your famous followers picks it up, like Terry Crews. Once in a while he'll pick it up, he'll share it, or like Mila Jovovich, or I've got some people from the cast of The Mandalorian, and don't
Wow.
have don't have, but I've got different people from different, or a lot of Battlestar Galactica. I've got a lot of sci-fi people,
Yeah. Yeah.
but at any rate, one of them pick it up, it'll go nuts.
So they'll just share it on their story or something like that, or
Share it on their stories, or they'll just share it like to a friend,
oh
and the
wow.
algorithm knows so and so shared this. Okay, so somebody thinks this is funny and they're sending it to a friend. If that friend looks at it and they do something with it, whether they like it or they share it as well with somebody else, then to them, that's the virality of it. Like, a share is
Ah,
so much bigger than a like or even a save.
yeah.
Comments are great as long as other people are, as long as it's a conversation. If it's
Yeah.
if it's a fire emoji, which I am 100%, 100% a person that does once in a while when I'm just trying to support friends. But if it's
Yeah.
a fire emoji, doesn't mean shit. I don't want to break it. I don't want to break anybody's bubble. Doesn't mean crap. Why? Because nobody is going to build on your conversation saying, yeah, it totally was fire. Or
Oh
nobody's
yeah.
going to go in there
Fire,
putting a
fire,
bunch
fire.
of
Yeah.
watermarks or ice. They're not going to cause an emoji conversation. They want to see a question, an answer, a response, different responses back and forth. They Comments are only good when it's having a conversation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, again, they don't mean crap. The biggest thing on Instagram is how many views you get and how many shares you get.
Wow.
Views and shares.
That's
Everything else, I've just started turning off my likes because I don't want to see them. Because
yeah.
I'm caught in the old world of Instagram where likes mattered and things
Yeah.
like that. And to be honest, right now, I really don't care if you liked it, because most people, they don't like things anymore. They watch it, and
Yeah.
maybe they'll watch it twice. If they watch it twice, Instagram knows, and they'll pump it out to more people that are like-minded to that person to see if they watch. But if they watch the whole thing, that's what matters. It's, that is YouTube 101. You got to get it through the
Yeah.
whole show. Got to have that interesting there. But yeah,
Wow.
it's, to me, that is, yes, controversy. Amazing Spider Zach. I agree. But for me, it's for me, it's 100% just seeing those shares. When you see shares start to come in, then you've got something that's popular with people, because otherwise you're getting good support from your friends and they totally mean well, but it doesn't really mean anything to Instagram. And especially tagging people, especially the same people. Constant Instagram comic book community mistakes I see is sharing with the same people, because that becomes a sharing circle, and then that technically hits against you, because when
Oh,
you're tagging people and they're the only ones that are commenting on it and they're the only ones interacting with it, that was kind of your way of thinking that you were gaming the system. It's not.
oh,
Use that
that's interesting.
sparingly. Use it with the
Yeah.
like if you look at my page, you will see maybe 5 tags, period.
Yeah.
Like go
And
back
that's probably just
months.
with a collaborator, like
Yeah, it's because I
if you're
collaborate
promoting
with
anybody.
Courtyard.io, and the other
Yeah.
one I collaborated with Rage Theo. For the one I collaborate, I put on our
Story.
stories,
Yeah.
right? You know, for me, I don't use tags of people anymore because very often the person that I end up tagging, they're a good person and they're a good friend. And they just hit the like button. They don't even watch the damn video. They're just like, well, it's
Yeah.
Phil. Phil's my friend. I'm just gonna tag it. Boom. And I love Theo, and maybe he would be one of those guys that would watch it all, but I know that he doesn't have to because he's supporting me and it's a friend. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do the same
Yeah.
thing with him. I see a post of Theo's, I'm gonna like it
Yeah.
habitually.
Yeah.
Now that
Exactly. Yeah.
habit, Instagram knows that we've all got
Yeah.
our
It knows that.
circles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you want to become successful on Instagram, shares, share it and share it with your friends and see if they share it with other people, right? That's one
Yeah.
great way to do it. Tags, collaborations are better than tags, but at the end of the day, too, don't do more than 2 collabs a month. More than that, they feel like you're gaming the system. So you want to avoid those when
Oh, okay.
possible. And 3, uh, pick something that you'll have fun doing regardless. That's the only
Nice.
thing. And that's why I try not to do this from an angry space, right? I try not to
Yeah.
ever make a post from an angry space or even from a competitive space, where I feel like I'm trying to, uh, show somebody up. I can't do that anymore because if it doesn't do well, I will feel like it was wasted effort. At least if I
Yeah.
had fun, cool. It was one for me. Or one like, live there too. Live there that it made somebody's day. Like the coolest comment I've had in probably years doing this. The coolest comment I probably got about a month ago. And it was, I don't know you, but I was having one of the worst days of my life. And I literally just shot water out of my nose seeing this.
Oh,
And
wow.
and it like made
Your
my
day.
day. And
Yeah.
to be honest, that was probably the most like, wow, that was kind of cool. I mean, everybody's got their thing, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm special or I'm more special than anybody on God's green earth. But just knowing that a complete stranger I made smile and
Yeah.
totally changed the way their day felt, that was freaking cool. And you know what? Yeah, maybe I make memes, maybe I make a fool of myself, maybe I make stupid jokes at my own expense, but damn it, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I know one person was very happy from that
Yeah.
stupid post. So,
No,
you know,
that's incredible. That literally like this whole segment on content creation, I haven't even asked the question. So you've talked about like one of my questions was funniest or weirdest or most wholesome interaction you've had with a viewer. So you've just named it. And then one of the things was like, start what advice would you give? And you've literally just given amazing advice for people who use Instagram and how to get on with it. So thank you so much for that insight. That's incredible.
I might ask you what to do with my YouTube channel at the end of this.
Well, I'm still learning a lot. I'm not very big on it, but no, I
We're all
appreciate it.
students.
We're all students, yeah. Um, but yeah, so in terms of my final question to you, Phil, will be in terms of platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, which one is your favorite?
It's it's probably going to be Instagram because it's where I'm successful. Yes. Um, but at the end of the day, the one I'm most interested in getting into more of is is YouTube. I have the most interest for YouTube. And I only say that because of the technology and the stuff that I have and the
Yeah,
things
yeah,
that I do for a living. Um, lend itself there better than it does on
yeah,
Instagram. Instagram's a lot more ADHD.
yeah,
YouTube's a little bit more settle in. We're gonna
yeah.
go for a ride. Let's
Yeah,
go
yeah.
here. Let's talk about these things. We may get a little distracted along the way, but this is the topic. This is what we're going to cover. We're going to get a little in depth. We're going to get to try some new things. To me, YouTube is the place that's piquing my interest the most. It's the place that I have to do the most work. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, Instagram's the place though that I find enjoyment every day because I know people here. I know people here, and I get to talk to them about stuff. And I know that that audience is there. On YouTube, I know I'll be screaming into the darkness and the void for a long period of time,
Yeah.
but I'm okay with that. It's
No?
everything's an investment. This didn't happen. I didn't wake up one morning with this 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 took a lot of time. I got my account hacked and I lost it, and then I had to rebuild it and I do things, and yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's a thing. So
I
you
was
know,
gonna say, like, what like the way that you present yourself, like a lot of people on YouTube, like their mic isn't good or the camera's not good, the lighting's not good. Yours is spot on.
I
So
appreciate it.
you
Thank you.
like that's the first, I know you've been doing YouTube for years and stuff like that, but you I couldn't ask for a clearer or better person to come on because you know this industry, so I appreciate it.
Well, I've got the right toys. Once in a while, I'll have a hiccup like anyone else, but it's usually just because I do something stupid.
uh,
But I'm getting there. Your layout is a heck of a lot more interesting than mine. You got a great background. You got a good mic. You got a good camera. I need to work on my background. I blur mine on purpose, my friend, because unfortunately I have this big, huge, elaborate desk that was bought to me for my job, not for social
uh,
media creation, and it like corners me because it is like a ton. It
how
is
is it?
extremely heavy, and I can't take it apart and move it. So I'm fastened to this wall, which has the wonderful view because I was never going to be. I was a web designer back when I got
Yeah,
this
yeah.
thing. I was never going to have a camera on me, so I never thought that my closet behind me would ever be a problem. So
Nice. Yeah.
that's just it until I get a new home, brother. This is the
Yeah,
way it is.
yeah.
So I would love to have a bookshelf with all my cool stuff really behind me like you do, because that to me puts all the stuff about you on display, the things that you're
Well,
interested in. Things
uh,
for me, I'm like a mystery. I come on the show, he's got weird lights and dark backgrounds. What
no,
does
no,
he
look, I
do?
think it looks great. So I'm actually in the process of moving. So
Oh,
uh,
nice.
if you look here, it's just boxes. So that's all been
Nice.
boxed up. And hopefully I'm moving in within the next month. So fingers crossed.
Oh, awesome.
But
Fantastic.
I can't wait to set up my new room. If I'm being honest, that's like
Yeah.
one of the
Whole new home, or like you're just kind of changing places in the house?
no whole new
Oh,
home.
wow. Staying in
Yeah.
the area though?
Um. Yeah. Probably
Ish?
about. Yeah. Yeah. It's same area. Really. It's probably about 2 miles away. Maybe.
Oh, that's not
Yeah,
bad.
it's not far.
Yeah.
So
That's nice.
yeah, it's
That's nice.
it's just really for like schools and stuff,
Yeah.
getting the kids into schools. But
Totally
no,
understand.
so yeah, yeah, it's one of those things being a parent. But yeah, so you mentioned earlier you are doing something with Rage Theo later
Mhm.
or soon.
Yeah, we're probably gonna go live in another couple of hours.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
probably gonna go live on YouTube around 10 p.m. my time. Probably about 3 hours from now. We'll probably go and do
oh, cool.
something.
Well,
I'll go
uh,
bother my spouse and make her life hell for a little while, and then go make Theo's life hell for a little while. It's kind of what I live for. But
yeah, that's what we do. We just that's all we are here for to annoy our partners. But no, I just want to give you a massive thank you for coming on today, Phil. You've
I
been
appreciate it.
incredible. Dropping the insight that you've dropped in today regarding content creation, courtyard, everything where you've talked about, even the cameras, and that was interesting as hell. I have no interest in like that side of stuff, but like I found it interesting, so thank you very much. And I hope the audience did as well, but I'm sure they
I
did.
hope so too. And if you or if anybody ever needs any advice or looking for something inexpensive or something that you want to work on or pull in, dude, just let me know. I'm always happy to answer questions.
Y-
I like chatting in my DMs. I don't mind getting them. So it can get a little crazy, but I'm very snobby about, I'm very snobby about if they follow me, I will talk to them. It's the ones that don't follow me that I don't respond to. So, you
Well,
know,
they normally go into like the requests, don't they? If they don't follow
yep.
you in there or
I
something.
don't really check that place very
No,
often, but
because it's full of filth, absolute filth. It's full of.
well, I have ADHD too, and a really big, what's the word I'm looking, OCD
Yeah,
scenario where if I have an alert, I have to clear it. I have to clear it.
yeah.
So if you message me, I'll get it.
He'll get it. He'll
And
definitely read it.
I will definitely read it. I may not respond immediately, but I'm gonna get to it because I have a problem not getting to it. It's a problem.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
No, but I'm sure people have come across your content, but please go and check out the One True Nerdy King. His content is humorous, it's relevant, it's fun, and it's insightful. But thank you so much for joining us, everybody. You've been great in the chat. And Phil, I'd love to do something again with you at some point in
Yeah,
the future. That'd be great. And I
absolutely.
actually, you mentioned, I actually do want to get one of those DJI cameras, like for when I go to the comic shop. So I've got just holding it.
Oh yeah, the Osmos.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
got 3 of those here. I can show you anything you want with them. They do great.
yeah, yeah. That because what's rather annoying is like I don't really want to wear like a strap on thing, you know.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
because I'm 5'6", so you're going to be seeing like the bottom of comic boxes. You're not going to be seeing into it. Do you know what I mean? I'd have to wear it on my head, and I don't want to wear anything. I don't want.
No.
I
No,
do
you're
not want.
fine, dude.
But yeah,
Another
so
good one too, are especially when it comes to content creation, it's these Ray-Ban Meta Ray-Bans,
oh,
right?
okay, cool.
Where the camera's in the glasses.
Oh wow,
So you can live stream on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, things like that with these glasses, and your hands are totally free.
that's the dream. That's the
Yeah,
dream.
these are lovely, and you can put your prescription in them too. They're actual Ray-Bans.
How,
So, and they've
how
got,
much are they, if you don't mind me asking? They've got to be quite a
I
bit.
think probably for you they'd be about 170 to 200 quid, maybe,
Oh
maybe.
really? I thought
Yeah.
it, mate, bro. I thought you were gonna say grand.
No, shit, no, 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 no. I got 2 pairs. I got one pair that's transparent that I throw on Theo's face. That's just got regular glass on it when we're doing a live and we're doing different kinds of things. We haven't
Oh
had to do
cool.
it, but I got a pair for that, and I got a pair with my prescription in them that I use when I'm doing different, especially box diving. Box diving, these things, chef's kiss, 100%, because you got both your hands.
Yeah, bro. That's like I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ray-Ban Meta Ray-Bans. So they're Facebook specific. You
Yeah.
can record in them up to 3 minutes at a time. Then you have to restart it again. That's the one thing that drives me nuts is the 3 minute recording limit on it. But that's just for pre-records, right? That live streaming, you will live stream until they die. And they can last probably a good hour and a half, 2 hours of a live stream
Yeah.
going through.
So
I,
you say I should be asking this offline, but when you say you get 3 minutes,
Mhm.
so you have to start the recording again. Where does it upload to?
Your phone directly to your device.
Oh wow.
Everything automatically uploads to your phone. And it has Meta AI in it too, so you can talk to it about whatever it is. Like, hey, I have my Meta, um, she'll look up prices on eBay, and I say she like it is she, but you can choose the different voices. I use Kristen Bell is the voice that does my one, so
Christian
I have
Bale.
her, Kristen Bell,
Oh, Kristen
so
Bale. I thought you
not
said
Christian
Christian
Bale.
Bale.
No, there's a lot of other people in there too. There's John Cena. There's a lot of other people, but
Ah,
I use
so
Kristen
cool.
Bell. I love her voice, and I'll have her like, hey, I'll say, hey Meta, tell me the most recent price on a Hulk 181 and an 8.0 for the most recent CGC slab and the most recent sales from eBay over the
Wow.
last 60 days. And so the prices have varied from X, Y, and Z, but they have come in. You got to be very specific when you're getting into those
Yeah.
things. But she'll price a
You,
comic for me. I
you,
mean, it's,
you've got to be
if
good
I'm
at
subscribed to
prompting.
cover
Yeah.
price, I'll have her like, hey, hey Meta, open up my cover price account and look at the current value, the current fair market
Yeah.
value on A. What? And that helps a lot when I'm working a live sale with my friend Theo, right? When we go out to these
Yeah. Yeah.
locations, we're working with like Golden Age Guru and we're going through boxes. Um, Theo does the grading and I'll go do the pricing. And that's kind of like our rhythm, right? Like, so he'll
Wow.
be
Yeah.
pouring into a box and he'll be like, we're going to do this one, we're going to do this one, we're going to do this one, and this is at this grade, and he's going through everything. And after he gets all that work done, then it's my turn. I take over, I find the pricing, then I organize them, I put them into the place of where we're going to go in the next sale, things of that
Yeah.
nature. And it's using things like that for myself. For obviously I'm always on my computer and I'm still pulling things up, but I can do 2 different searches at the same time with those things, and
That's
I'm hearing the information and I'm getting more data in with it. But they're fantastic. So if you're looking for like going to a shop
yeah.
and that first person perspective of
Yeah.
going through books, those glasses are more inexpensive than the Osmos.
Wow.
But if you want to
Yeah.
put your prescription in them, obviously, if it is the same way over there as it is here, anybody that sells Ray-Bans should be able to put those prescriptions in there for you. So then it just kind of goes with whatever it costs to put your prescription into any lens, your lens into any frames at that point. But yeah, I love using mine and the Osmos. Those are
Wow.
2 great tools from a content creation standpoint. For the Osmos are fantastic for B-roll and being able to stream from and recording yourself and flipping around and moving to somebody else and automatically having a DJI mic attached to it.
Yeah.
Some of the content creator kits come with one of those wireless mics immediately. But those wireless mics are fantastic. I've got a number of both. So I use them for, I can attach them to my DSLR on the side. And now I have a way of having a perspective shot that I'm working on, and one that's always, because it can follow a face and it'll automatically track. So I can have my camera doing a set with 2 people on it, and I can put my Osmo attached to the side of my camera using small rig
Yeah.
equipment, and I can double tap on that person's face. And now all of a sudden that camera is going to be focusing on person on shot 1. I can put another one on person on shot 2, and my one camera can be pulling in a 2 shot.
That's
So now
incredible.
I've got multiple ways to pull through.
That's
So
awesome. Sorry everybody for going off topic there, but that again, some more insightful information from Phil there. But no, thank you everybody for watching. And we
I've
will
talked
see
so
you
damn
guys.
much. I'm so sorry, brother. I've
No,
kept
it's
you up
okay.
so late. It's got to be what, like 12:30 there now, 12:15 there
12,
now.
15, it's all right. But thank
Yeah.
you everybody for watching. We will see you guys next time. And I'll play the outro now. Phil, you've been amazing. Thank you so much.
It's an honor, brother.
James Mack in the spotlight glare. Comic stacked, high stories to share. Weekly hauls and interviews flow. Dive deep into the tales we know. MJ Comix.